As a Muslim, do you see Muhammad as a moral example?
Yes, I
Do you see him as the best moral example? Do you see him as the best man?
Yes, I do.
So when he married a 9-year-old child, is that an example to you?
A 9-year-old 1400 years ago is nothing like a 9-year-old today.
There is no. I'm sorry.
This
Sister, this is utter rubbish. Muhammad had sex with a 9-year-old child. Was he right or wrong?
Firstly, let's dispute the sources about the watch.
There we go. You see, once the sources are an embarrassment to them, they shut them away.
That's true!
What do you think should happen to gay people in Sharia law?
Sharia law?
Yes. What should happen to gay people? Oh, he's walking away. Do you believe the Shia or the Sunni Hadith? Shia or Sunni Hadith? Away from the worship of the one true God.
It takes them away. Let me tell you why you say this.
No.
It takes them away from alcohol, from drugs, from
Christianity does that.
from party.
Alcoholics Anonymous was set up by Christians, not by Muslims.
That's the only reason.
You come out with nonsense like that. You don't know what you're talking about.
Because you still ain't giving me a
You don't
reason
know
why.
you don't know what you're talking about.
Still ain't giving me a reason.
You haven't even read the Bible.
Have
Have you? You haven't even read the
No, I
Bible.
haven't read the Bible. I'm not gonna lie to you.
So why are you trying to say what our faith does and doesn't do if you've never even read it?
Did Jesus love gay people?
What you said was,
Jesus love gay people.
are you saying that Christianity doesn't take people away from these sins?
No.
Is that what you're saying?
Ask the question. Did Jesus love gay people?
Jesus loves Muslims, they're sinners too.
Why are they sinners? Talk to me.
Jesus
Why?
loves Muslims
Why?
and they're sinners
Why
too.
though? Why?
So, right, listen, look. So, therefore humble yourself under the mighty hand of God, that he may exalt you in the proper time, casting out your anxiety on him, because he cares for you. Be of sober spirit, be on the alert. Your adversary the devil prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking. Yes, Jesus loves gay people.
He loves gay people.
And he loves Muslims, and they're both sinners.
Jesus loves gay people.
Yes.
You can't read it out to me anymore. That's it.
Wait.
Because you told me Jesus loves gay people.
So you
What's the
don't
point
love
of you
gay
reading
people?
out?
Are you saying you don't love gay people?
I don't accept it.
Are you a Muslim?
I don't accept them.
Are you a Muslim?
Don't
Do you love gay people? Do you love gay people?
I don't accept them.
Do you love gay people? You don't love them. Do you hate them?
I don't hate them.
You don't hate them, but you don't love them. You're ambivalent towards
I got
them.
nothing against them.
What do you think should happen to gay people in Sharia law?
Sharia law?
Yes, what should happen to gay people? Oh, he's walking away. Oh, he's walking away. What should happen to gay people in Sharia law? No, it's not a silly question. It's a perfectly valid question. What should happen to gay people in Sharia law? No, we can film. We can film here. Because they always bring this up. You're pushing me. You're pushing me.
Don't push.
So,
They
always according to Islam,
the gay discussion, bro. I mean, this biggest corner. You will come into the
what should happen to gay people in Sharia law?
So you accept it?
What should happen to gay people in Sharia law?
That's what you accept.
What?
So you accept in your religion a kid to grow up with men and men?
No.
We are saying that we love the sinners, not
We're
the
saying
sin.
we love the sinners.
Not the
Don't
sin.
listen.
Not the
If
sin.
you unplug your ears, right, get rid of your ego and your attitude, listen to what I'm saying. We Christians believe that sinners
So why do you have different Bibles?
should be
Why do
loved.
you have different Bibles?
Sinners like you.
Why do you have different Bibles?
You mean like your different Qurans?
We ain't got different Quran.
Which Quran do you believe in?
Why
The
do you
Hafs
have
Quran, the Wash Quran, or the Duri Quran?
One Quran.
Yeah, but which one?
Show me the other
The
Quran. Show me
Hafs,
the other
the Wash, or the
Quran.
Duri?
Show me the other Quran.
DCCI
Bring you four Bibles.
DCCI brought 31 different
You've got
Qurans
four
to the
Bibles.
park. Which Quran do you believe in? The Hafs, the Wash, or the Duri?
You're saying Jesus loves gay people. He's saying Jesus accepts gay people. He's saying Jesus.
Already confirmed
Listen.
by Graham. He said Graham
How
said
many
gay
Bibles have you
people
got?
are allowed in the church.
many
Graham denied
Bibles
that
have you
gay people.
So he's lying.
So he's lying.
So he's lying.
He's been called
Tell me what
Cameron
lying.
lying.
How many Bibles?
By Graham.
How many
So
Bibles?
don't come to one missionary and teach about
lying.
I am the one. You came to me. I could point it out. Sorry, sir.
Wait, point
Are you trying to provoke? He's trying to provoke me on camera.
And this is what
Sorry, brother. You're on the wrong league. I'm a black belt.
Should you lie? You've just lied to someone.
Oh, you're threatening me with violence. Get this on camera. We're talking about persecution of Christians afterwards. Get this on camera. Well done. This is the persecution of Christians. We're going to go into the next video.
Hey, what was he saying about Bob the Builder?
Talking about Sharia law. Show me the book of Sharia law. That's what you want to talk about.
So, tell
Show
me
me this book. Now go on, show me the book.
Are you saying there isn't a Sharia law?
No, I'm saying show
There's
me the book.
no Sharia
I'm saying
law.
show me the book.
There's multiple books on Sharia
Go
law.
on, let me show me one.
Well, you've got lots of the different legal schools. They pass legal
I
judgments.
don't want to know about legal, about school jurisprudence.
So
I want to know where's the book on Sharia law.
Am I mistaken?
Oh, yeah.
So there isn't a thing called Sharia law?
No, that's not what I said.
Oh, well, correct me then. What is there?
Can I ask you something, sir?
I'm going to go. 1 minute, I'm going to go. Okay, one question and then we're done. I'm going to go for 1 minute. Oh, no. All right. So if you're just making a point and no replies, then I'll talk to him.
Listen, I'm asking you to show me. You want to talk about Sharia
Okay,
law?
I don't have the book to show you. Now tell me.
There isn't one.
Right, is there such a thing as Sharia law?
Yes.
There is.
Yes.
So when I talk about Sharia law, I am valid in speaking about Sharia law.
You're not as a person.
Why?
You are not educated enough or an expert in Sharia law.
Are you?
Neither am I. No.
Are the Muslims
educate
here?
you. No.
So do you go around telling the Muslims they shouldn't be speaking on Sharia law?
If someone was to make a stupid comment like you did earlier, yeah, I would.
I would like to see that. I really would.
Right, directly to someone who's talking about Sharia law.
Shamsi.
You're the only one. You're the only one that
So,
comes here to
what
this
does Sharia
bar
law-
all the time
you
and
can
goes,
answer the
Sharia law says this. Sharia law says
What
that.
does Sharia law say about homosexuals?
Don't worry.
What should
you
happen?
are not. Me and you are not educated enough to talk about Sharia law.
What does Sharia law say?
Sharia law. What Sharia law say about homosexuals?
Neither
What
of us
does
are
Sharia law say about
homosexuals?
Is it your business?
Tell us.
Neither of us
your
are
business?
What does it
educated
say?
Do you have Sharia
Neither
law
of
here?
us are
What
educated
does
Why are
it
you so
say?
scared of Sharia law?
Because it's a bad idea.
Do you
It's
reckon
bad
it's
for
gonna happen?
Christians.
You have the law of God.
If you think it's going to happen, that means you're
Are you denying the law of God? No.
Are you denying the law of God?
If you have faith in God, then that means we shouldn't be so scared.
Subhanallah.
So what are you denying the law of God? What does it say?
Show some respect to the brother.
Come on, man.
What is
Your sources. His own handwriting.
I'm asking, what does it say? What does it say? What should happen to homosexuals?
Neither me nor you.
That's what we know. All this building.
You're not educated enough. and Neither am I.
But why
I
you
remember
never do that?
myself.
Wait, if you're saying...
I'm not educated enough to talk about what the punishment should be in Sharia law.
So what you're saying is, I'm wrong, but you aren't in a position to tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah, and I admit that.
Right. Get that logic. I'm wrong, but he's not in a position to tell me
I can
that
tell
I'm
someone
wrong.
they're wrong and say, but I'm not educated enough to correct
I
you. There's
propose a
nothing wrong with
premise
that.
to you that in Sharia law it says homosexuals
say
should
that.
be killed.
Where does it
You're
say
saying it doesn't.
Let's chuck him for the tallest building. Huh? Chuck him for the tallest mountain or something like that. Yeah, or the building. Like the Shard.
So, I take it obviously... I take...
Let me explain to you what the Sharia law is.
Yeah, go on, tell us.
You have to study Islam, the religion, years and years before you can make rulings on what is and isn't considered authentic and Sharia.
And the fact that
based by
those
God.
rulings are contradictory, does that not trouble you?
It's different. You understand? Right, you're educated enough about Islam to know there's 4 main schools in Sunni Islam, yeah?
And then 5 if you include Shia.
He's the new man.
Not of you, my friend.
Not of me.
Not of you, my friend.
Of Sharia law.
Sharia law needs to go in the dustbin.
Because we shout louder. We're going to shout
out
louder.
here now.
Well, fuck Sharia law.
Your words. Your words.
When you say,
I'm fucking going to give a fuck. He's going to get in trouble.
Your words.
do you want to talk like
So,
civilized people?
let's talk like civilized people.
So when you say that Sharia law says to kill gays and to jump off the tallest building,
Yes.
some scholar somewhere in history, Islam has been around 400 years, may have said that, but something I agree with it.
Fine, that's fine. You've got a good conscience. That's fine. Tell me this. Does it not trouble you that Muslim scholars using multiple sources are arguing contradictory positions. You've got some Muslim scholars saying that if you apostatize from Islam, the punishment should be left to the next world and not be punished in this world. And you've got some Muslim scholars arguing that apostates should be killed in this world. They're both using the same sources and they're coming to different conclusions. Is that not problematic?
Because God gave us something called an internet. Yeah? So I can look at what one scholar said, I can look at what he's looking at, the sources behind it, and go, do you know what, these sources don't make sense, so I'm going to disregard that. Even though another scholar might contradict what he said, but because his sources are behind where he's made his judgment make sense, because they're not really using the same sources.
So it all boils down, rather than it being a perfected religion that's revealed by Allah, I agree with you, it's not.
The religion is perfect. The people...
But the point is, but that's the point. That's the point. This is supposed. The Quran says that on this day I have perfected your religion for you, Islam. But if Islam, looking at multiple topics, comes out with totally contradictory conclusions, like whether you should kill apostates or not, that means that Islam isn't clear. It's not clear guidance. And yet you're telling us that we have to believe this religion. We've got something better.
That's not what I said. The religion is perfect. Okay? The scholars...
Which one? The Shia version or the Sunni version?
Oh, you want to get into that? Can you allow me to...
I'm just pointing out.
No, the SJW. What about you?
Right, just clarifying terms. Just clarifying terms.
But now you're just being argumentative.
One second.
You're just being argumentative for the sake of being argumentative.
Yeah, go on.
A Christian can talk about
So, the religion is perfect. Islam, perfect. The Prophet, infallible. Yeah? Allah, God, is perfect. But the scholars that practice the religion and preach the religion are not perfect. They do make mistakes. That's your question. So one scholar saying that we should chuck all the gates off the highest building, that's a mistake on his part. He's not making a mistake in the religion.
What criterion are you using to say that he's making a mistake?
Well, I haven't studied the sources myself, so I can't say whether
That's the point that I'm pushing on you.
Okay,
no, hold on one second.
No, I heard your point. If I came back a week, if I said to you, okay, next Sunday, same time, I'll go now, I'll study the sources for a week and come back, I can probably tell you what I'm saying.
Right, so hold on one second.
I don't have the time to do that, I'm sure neither do you.
One second, bro. Because the thing is, you've got Muslim scholars who are all using the same sources and coming out with contradictory answers.
Same sources, are they?
Yeah, they're using the hadiths and they're using the Quran. And they're coming to different conclusions.
Not all hadith are authentic.
So what you're saying is Muslim scholars can't decide which hadith are authentic or not?
No, that's basically what they spend their whole lives doing.
Right, so what we've got is a corpus of literature called hadith that Muslims themselves can't agree upon as which ones are reliable or not, and that is the reason why they're coming to different conclusions.
I love how you do this. You take what I say and you twist it to sort of fit your agenda.
If I was wrong, explain why I was wrong.
That's not what I said.
So what did you say?
So you know about Sahih Bukhari and Tirmidhi and all that?
Yeah.
So we can look at those.
Well, they're authentic until they're embarrassing, and then Muslims say they're not authentic. But go on.
You just no, you're just being argumentative. It's arbitrarily. Anyway, so we can look at those and say these are authentic. But there could have been mistakes in those books, or the scholars may have made a mistake looking at the hadith. They may have looked at hadith that is not as authentic as others. I don't know that because I haven't studied it in detail.
You know, brother, this fog that you have is what just stops you from seeing the truth. Because
don't tell me,
if you actually think about what you're saying, what you've got is a corpus of literature that Muslims themselves can't agree on. They don't know which ones are trustworthy, and then they're trying to say that you can base judgments on these hadiths. But because they don't agree about which ones are trustworthy, they come to different conclusions. Who doesn't agree? You go speak to the scholars who are in the West, and they will say to you that apostates from Islam shouldn't be killed and that punishment is reserved to the next life. You go and ask the scholars who are living in Saudi Arabia, and they will say that apostates from Islam should be killed. So are we saying that...
You say that people can't make mistakes?
I'm saying that Islam is what Muslims want it to be from one generation to the next.
Incorrect.
And from one political situation to the next. When they're a tiny minority, it's all about love and tolerance and getting along. When they're a majority, it's all about you're a dirty kuffar and a mushrik and a polytheist and we'll oppress you.
The massacre in Finsbury Park a couple of years ago, who was it that helped those people when there was someone trying to kill them? Muslims. Yeah?
And
So you saying
Christians help people
it's
all the
not about
time.
love and tolerance? What was that? What were they showing there?
What about the Christians in Egypt who have their churches bombed, their priests stabbed, their businesses stoned?
What's about it?
What about the fact that in Saudi Arabia an Arab citizen cannot be a Christian?
Do you know what we call this? What about it?
Yeah, shall we do the whataboutisms? So in Saudi Arabia, a place where Islam has dominated for 1400 years unchallenged by anyone, okay? It is illegal for a Saudi Arabian citizen to become a Christian. Do you agree with this or not?
Me personally?
Yes.
No.
Right. And do you agree? Good for you. Yeah? You're a good man, right?
You can stop with the patronising.
But your scholars would say that you
My
are
scholars?
Yeah.
Who are my scholars?
I would
Muslim
imagine
scholars.
Muslim scholars.
Who? Go on, name me my scholars.
Oh, I apologise. Do you not follow the ulama? Do you not agree with
I don't know
the
what
ulama?
ulama you're talking about.
So you have a particular ulama that you follow vis-a-vis a particular ulama that you don't follow.
I didn't say that.
Wait, that sounds like what you're saying.
Quranist only, baby. Are you a Quranist
Are you a
only?
Quranist
No,
only?
I'm not a Quranist.
So
What I'm saying is,
do you have any scholars you
You're
follow?
generalising my beliefs into that I follow whatever any scholar says.
Well, name me one scholar you do follow.
Well, it depends what you're talking about, because different scholars have different specialties.
Okay, name me a scholar that you do follow.
Yeah, but in what specialty?
Anyone you like.
Al-Albani.
Al-Albani. Now tell me a judgment that Al-Albani has said.
So it's alright to vote.
It's all right to vote.
Yeah.
Do you think that I can find scholars that will say that it's not all right to vote?
Maybe, yeah.
I'm pretty sure I can.
Yeah, okay.
Right. So now let me ask you this question. If you've got two Muslim scholars using Quran and Hadith, on what basis can you say that one scholar is right and another scholar is wrong? If you're saying that you're ignorant. Because you're saying you're ignorant and you can't talk about this, but you have two scholars who are not ignorant, who are contradicting one another. So how can you say one is right and the other is wrong?
No, you lost me. Say it again.
Right. So here's the question. Here's your problem. Your logical problem.
Go on.
Right.
Go on, explain it to me then.
You have said at the beginning of this conversation
Yeah, that I am not educated enough.
that you are not educated enough.
Yes.
And I agree you can find a scholar in Islam that says it's okay to vote.
Yeah.
And I am certain that I can find a scholar in Islam that says that it isn't okay to vote.
Yeah, you probably. Yeah.
So if we have two scholars who are not ignorant, who are both using the Quran and the Hadiths, but coming to completely contradictory...
They might be using different...
Well, let me finish. Coming to completely contradictory answers, how can you decide who is right amongst them?
Well, by looking at what sources they follow, what their beliefs are, that kind of
But that means that then you're in a position to judge the scholars on their use of the material, which would mean that you're now above your scholars.
In what way would that mean about my scholar?
Because you've just said, if I have to make a judgment between scholar A who says X and scholar B who says Z, and these two scholars are using the same sources, and the way I can judge between them
I see what you're saying.
is that I look at the sources and I make a judgment about who's right and wrong. You're then saying that you're the scholar.
Okay, so in Islam, yeah, we believe that God gave us intellect. We have the ability to critically analyse and say and look at what people have said. We have that ability. God has given us that ability to critically analyse different pieces and come to decisions. So if I were to look at what this scholar has said and say, no, that's wrong because of this, this, and this, that's fine. I don't know if you had that in Christianity.
Can I give you
where
got
you
something
just follow
better.
people blindly.
No. I'll give you something better. In the Christian faith, it says that you should work out your salvation with fear and trembling. So the use of one's own reason is preeminent. And what it says is that to keep the law of God, what we need to do is to love. Pure and simple. And he who loves will keep the whole of the law. All of it. So much simpler than having to decide about which opinion is right and which hadith is correct and which one is trustworthy. Aim your heart at love. Aim your heart at love.
Sounds
You
like
see,
some
you
hippie
laugh.
ass shit.
Yeah, it sounds like hippie ass shit, but the hippies got it all wrong. Totally wrong. Aim your heart at love. And in all of your situations, in all of your circumstances, try to do unto others that which you would have done unto you. Yeah? If you go about doing that, you will live a good life, or an approximation of a good life. Certainly a better life than if you follow blindly the example of Muhammad. Which, because in my experience of talking to Muslims, whenever Muhammad is an embarrassment to them, they say we don't believe that source and that hadith.
I don't think he's ever been an embarrassment to me.
Do you believe in having sex with 9-year-old children?
Do you want to get into this now?
Yes. Do you? Do you? Do you?
Me personally?
Yes.
I personally wouldn't.
Did Muhammad have sex with a 9-year-old child?
But all the girls here, they're having sex when they are 11, 10, they're getting pregnant.
That's different. We can't.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying.
Yeah, yes, look,
Yeah,
it's
but
the
it shouldn't be
failure.
a shock to
It's the
you.
failure of Western liberalism, not
It
Christianity.
shouldn't be a shock to you.
It's the failure of Western liberalism, not Christianity.
What happens to?
You want to get into that?
I miss Muhammad.
So, Muhammad had sex with a 9-year-old child. Was he right or wrong?
Firstly, let's dispute the sources.
There we go. You see, once the sources are an embarrassment to them, they strip them away.
That's true.
No, it's Sahih al-Bukhari. It's Sahih. It's Sahih
It needs to be
al-Bukhari.
said. It needs to be said that the sources do dispute her age.
Give me a source that says she was older.
Can I finish?
If we take the source that she was 9, which is fine for the purpose of this argument, we can.
Right, let's do that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Just a disclaimer for the camera.
So-
just for the sake of this argument, we're saying she was 9.
She was 9.
But disclaimer,
And
there
Islam-
are disputing sources.
No. Let's be clear. Actually, there are sources that Muslims construct an argument from that she was older,
There are sources that
but
say
they
she
don't.
was older.
No, they don't say she was older.
But no, for the purpose of this conversation, let's just say she was 9.
Right. So, do you agree with that?
So when did they actually do the deed?
It
wasn't when she was 9.
No, it is when she was 9. It says they consummated the marriage when she was 9.
They got married when they were 9. I think they consummated
No,
at 12.
married at 6.
And again, I have
consummated at 9.
Right, let's just say they consummated.
Do you agree with it?
It's not if I agree with it. It's my religion. It's the religion.
Yeah,
It's God.
Do you agree with it?
It's God.
So it's an example to you then. You should do it too. Or you can do it. Not that you should do it, but you can do it.
So, when girls get their periods, yeah, when they start getting their periods, what does that mean?
It doesn't mean they're ready to breed.
Yes or no?
No, it doesn't. And that just shows me how ignorant you are of child development. The fact that a child might have menstruation early does not mean that they are now physically to bear children. You're arguing essentially that because a woman bleeds, she can breed, and that is terrible.
No, that's.
It's terrible.
All I asked you was.
You said, if a child has a period, what does that mean? And I said, it does not mean they can have children. And then you said, yes, it does.
They are ready. Sorry.
Biologically, it means they can have children.
They could, a child who...
No, but I mean biologically, if you take out conditioning and everything, when somebody starts to menstruate, that means that they're
It is
able to
not
have
true.
children.
Women...
I'm a doctor. So
Yeah, well,
I've heard the
unfortunately,
arguments that
if a child, if you're a doctor, now be honest. When a child first starts to bleed in menstruation, is there always
It wasn't her first menstruation.
generally, but we won't say it's the rule, but even adult women might not always have an egg when they
And are
bleed.
you saying that physically and mentally a
I
child...
didn't say mentally. I
No,
said
you're a
physically.
GP now and
I'm
you're
not-
on
I'm
camera.
not a GP.
You just said you're a doctor. So you are a doctor or you aren't a doctor? My
GP
apologies.
is
So,
becoming a doctor.
as a doctor, your professional opinion counts for something. Are
All
you,
I'm saying is biologically, if you look at the history of...
are you a dentist?
Yes.
So
But
you're
I'm a
not.
doctor.
All right. So you
It's
try
a
to pass
doctor.
yourself off as a
It's
doctor.
a medical degree.
Your dentistry.
I have a doctorate, it's not hesitant.
So
It's a
what?
doctorate.
Right.
It's
On
not
what?
hesitant.
What on what?
I have studied everything.
You've studied everything.
Yeah.
Good. So you can answer this question.
Probably.
Right. So are you stood here now saying that because a child has her first period, that she is mentally and physically able to have children? I'm asking you.
No, I'm not saying that.
You're not saying that. So now
I
tell
never
him
said
that.
But he didn't say that either.
No, he did.
Did you say? I don't
You don't
think.
know, I don't know what I said. He's putting words in my mouth.
Yeah,
You're
no,
tr- you're both.
I
You're
mean, do you know what? The thing is, I agreed with a lot of what you said, but physically, biologically, that is the history of evolution of human beings. When a person starts to menstruate, that means they are then able to have a child physically.
But that doesn't mean they're
That doesn't mean
emotionally
mentally and emotionally. That's
And also
something
not
else.
physically ready, because there are many examples of children
There
who
are
have
many
become
examples, but there's
pregnant
many
whose
examples
hips
of
have not
adult
yet
women.
developed
But there's-
wide enough to bear
Yeah, of
children.
course. But
Thank you.
there's also very many examples of adult women who have the same thing. Not every adult woman who has her period has an egg that's released every month. A lot of women don't have periods at all. A lot of children probably don't have eggs when they have, but generally that's what a period is. Right?
If we three are all agreed that if we three are all agreed that at 9 years old someone doesn't have the mental, physical capacity to bear children, then my argument is sound. Unless you want to stand here and say a 9-year-old
I think the
can.
argument, to be honest, would be about the age, not about.
That is
what
the
you're
argument.
saying. The argument
He's
is it
using the
9 or is it
defense
not
of
9?
menstruation.
No. The argument would be.
The argument is that the sources say she was 9.
Many sources say other things too. There's
Are you
some
Muslim,
reasons
are you?
about-
Other sources say she was 14.
Yes.
You are a Muslim. So for full disclosure, a Muslim medical doctor, do you agree or disagree that a 9-year-old can have a child?
Physically, biologically, and many 9-year-olds probably can have a child, yes.
So
They
you,
have it throughout history had children.
so, well, I would dispute that you could evidence that actually.
I can find you.
I can dispute that you could
200 years
evidence.
ago in this country.
Yes, I'd like to see your evidence that there's lots of 9-year-old kids that have had children in this.
Why are you choosing 9 years old?
Are you serious?
Yes, I'm serious. I'm absolutely serious.
I can give you examples, even
Go on,
this
then.
year probably. I can Google it right now. There are kids
Okay.
who have
Go and
been
Google it.
raped, and then they have children.
Google me a 9-year-old child that's had a baby.
That's precisely the argument.
And then ask
What's
me.
the point of that?
Here's the
So, yeah,
point.
so-
Here's the point. Here's the point. Because Muslims argue. Here's the point. Here's the point. I know that. I know that they can. I'm not disputing the ability. What I'm saying is that here's the problem. Muslims try to say that Muhammad is a moral example, which if he is a moral example, the best moral example, then you have no justification to say that 9-year-old children should not have children.
No, the argument is the 9-year-old 1400 years ago is not exactly the same as the 9-year-old.
No,
So the argument is void.
What's void, sorry?
A 9-year-old 1400 years ago is nothing like a 9-year-old today. So this
There is
conversation-
no.
It's
I'm sorry.
irrelevant.
This sister. This is utter rubbish. This argument that there's been some evolutionary
But
leap
I
in the last
personally don't think she
1400
was
years
9,
is
so I'm-
absolutely rubbish.
That's why you
It's a scientific fact.
exactly.
No, friends. At the end of the day, right? It is absolute rubbish. Because if your argument, here's why it's rubbish. Because the climate of Saudi Arabia is still the same today as it was 1400 years ago. If anything, it's got hotter. So if your argument stands for then, it should also work now. But it doesn't, does it?
Do you know how to
You've just said that 1400 years ago people used to develop quicker. Why? What's changed about our biology?
No, it's mentally we are maturing at a later stage in our age,
People are
which is true.
getting married late.
People get
Right.
married because of the advent of smartphones,
So you're saying,
games, stuff like
so
that.
you're saying that a 9-year-old child had the mental capacity to understand what a marriage was.
exactly?
I didn't
That's
know
what you're
that
saying.
many years ago. How can I say that?
Even their body was nothing like the 9-year-old today. So you can't
When did Muhammad get engaged?
So it's
When?
void. It's
When?
void.
Why does it matter?
The hadith say she was 6. Are you telling me that a 6-year-old child understands the concept of marriage?
And you listen for that as well.
Let me say something
Listen,
here.
yeah.
I'm a Muslim. You know, we all have a different. But I would say there's another hadith where she claimed herself in one hadith she is 14. At the same time, in another hadith she says she is 16. There was no years calculation the time she was. The year start calculating in the time of Khalifa was Hazrat Umar. There was no way to calculate the year. You can check. Go ahead, Google it. In Arab, when they start calculating the years, there was no way to figure out how old somebody or anybody was. Even Muhammad, if you look at it in some of the hadith, he will say 60, other one will say 65. But if you're against something, you will pick up, oh, she said she was 9. Because you hate
let's just address
everything
this point.
about it. It's
Let's
not
just-
about the
let's just-
issue of...
let me address your
Let me
argument.
finish now. Let me finish here. now in this country, the girls were getting married when they were 9, 10, 11, 12. Nobody discussed that. But when it comes to that, to Muhammad, because you have against him something, so you will say, okay, 6, 9. Why don't you read another hadith where it says he was 14 or 18, 13, 14? All the girls were getting married. Let me finish it here.
Okay, because is this your final point?
Because the life expectancy was 30s, 35, 36. The girls were dead. The guys were dead in 30s. Nobody was living after that. Go ahead and check it out. This is fact. So now, if you have to have a children,
let me address your point. Your point is essentially that we couldn't calculate the age, and there are other hadiths that say she was different ages.
Yes.
1 second. I have never ever seen these hadiths be produced, and this is an argument that's been gone on. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. So no, hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second.
Let's exchange information.
Hold on 1 second. Right. So your argument is that we can't know her age.
Yes, for fact.
The hadiths give contradictory ages.
Yeah, and the hadith is not a word of Quran.
How can we trust a source like the hadiths if they are contradictory? But the point is,
let me finish something.
But the point is,
let me finish something here.
Islam is dependent upon the use of hadiths.
No, it's not.
Are you a Quran only Muslim?
I'm not saying I'm a Quran only Muslim.
Do you even know what a Quran only Muslim is?
Let me say something. Okay,
right. So are you a Quran only?
No, I'm not.
Or do you use hadiths?
Let me say something here. I'm talking here.
What's the Quran say?
Okay, let me say something.
Do you use hadiths?
Yes, I do.
I know you do. Do you?
Not as much as most Muslims.
Okay, so
but you do use hadith.
Okay.
So hadiths are important. So if your hadiths are contradictory, how can you trust them?
You didn't give me my answer. Why your forefather was getting married with 9, 10,
That's a fair question. Let me do
it.
that.
No, it's not. It's the same thing if your grandparents...
I just said you've given a fair question. Let me answer it.
But I haven't finished the other part what you were asking her. For me,
I was asking her, not you. Are you answering her?
She's my niece. Okay.
Fair enough.
Okay. So the way I do believe, if any hadith contradict the Quran, I do not believe that. Because for me to believe the word of God is Quran. So Furqan, how I can judge something is right or something is wrong. Now hadith is being said for different people, just like your Bible, if you believe in Bible. I do not believe in Bible. There's some words of God in there. But do I have to believe all of them? No, I don't. So the same way, those words are being brought to us by different people. If anything contradicts with Quran, I don't have to believe it. Because Quran is the word who's going to judge them.
Okay, so you said that if anything contradicts the Quran, you don't have to believe it.
No,
that's your criterion for
and then
using
Quran
the
tells you what is the age of
1 second.
to marriage.
So 1 second. Right. Well, firstly, to my knowledge, it doesn't say anywhere in the Quran what the actual age of marriage
is. It says is when. Okay,
no, hold on.
No, that is a lie.
You keep interrupting.
No, because you say it
you keep interrupting. You want people. It's always the same. You want people to shut up when you speak, but then when someone else speaks, you feel free to interrupt. So let's be clear. Let's be clear. Your hadiths are contradictory. They give contradictory answers to the same information. You use the hadiths to interpret the Quran. If the hadiths are not a trustworthy source, if the Quran, you've just said you did. You just said you don't do it as much.
We don't use the hadiths to interpret the Quran.
Yes, you do.
We don't.
Okay, show me how you pray salat
from the Quran
without using the Quran.
Let's not go off the subject.
No, hold on. You're not just going to jump in and say, answer this, answer this, and answer that.
No. Tell me.
Wait. Okay. No, you interrupted me. So
okay, you said you asked me a question. Let me answer it.
At this point, because you've interrupted me, I don't need now not to interrupt you. If you want people to listen, you have to pay them the courtesy of listening, which means that you have to actually stop talking. Like I was listening to you when you were talking. Do you remember that bit? Do you remember a couple of minutes ago when I wasn't talking and you was talking? Do you remember? No, you don't. It's all right. You're not the first guy I've met here today with small memory problems. Anyway, as I was saying, Muslims use the hadiths to understand how to practice Islam because the Quran gives an outline, but it doesn't give the detail. The hadiths is what gives you the detail. Example, the use of salah
Are
and
you
how you
expert
pray
on
salah.
Islam or
One
representing
second.
Islam side?
One second. Here you are interrupting again. Yeah.
If I'm here to listen to you, Islamic perspective.
The fact of the matter is, those hadiths contradict one another. They aren't trustworthy sources, and Muslims can't agree upon them.
I just told you my point of view is. Now again, you lied about the Quran where
Not
it doesn't
really.
mention about the marriage.
Okay,
so
show
let
me.
me say something.
Show me.
I'm going to tell you something.
What's the
so
age?
now,
According to the Quran, what's the age?
Quran says the first. There's two standards, and then they both have to meet.
Yes.
For girls to marry. The first one is the period. The second one is when she can make a decision about her property.
Where does it say that in the Quran?
Okay, now I cannot produce it, but it doesn't go
All right,
away.
we'll just assume
okay,
that
now
it does.
this is
We'll
on the
assume that
recording.
it does.
Right?
We'll
okay,
assume
so
that it
now
does. We'll
there's
assume that
no
it does.
better way. The Islam is the best teaching.
Period and mental capacity.
Capacity who can make decision about her property.
Right, fine.
So it's
Aisha was 6 years old when she was married.
Come on,
You don't agree because it embarrasses you and quoting hadith.
There's 4 different hadiths.
Again, show me the Quran.
Go on, show me them.
You know
Show
what?
me
If
them.
you are here only because you're against something, that doesn't
No,
make
I'm
your
in
point
favour of
nothing.
something.
Again, you
And
asked
if
me a
he-
question.
The conversation start with him asking
I
me a
know.
question.
You asked me a question. If there's in Quran, there's no mention about the marriage.
What does it say?
It's two things.
Yeah, it says it here. Look, I'll show you what it says in the Quran about marriage.
Oh man.
Yeah?
I need the Quran.
Yeah.
This is not
Where
a
it
Quran.
says-
This is the translation.
I agree with you.
without
It's
the
not a Quran. Islam is not a religion for anyone other than Arabs. Don't buy the sale.
Thank you, my God.
Walking away.
That's not the Quran because it's not in Arabic, yeah?
It's not in Arabic. Arabic has to be with it. You know,
This is what the Quran says about marriage. Are you listening? Talking
Have
about
your
divorce.
15 minutes of fame, it's fine. Go on. No, talk.
So this is what it says. This is what it says in their book. This is what it says in their book. But because they find it embarrassing, they don't want to listen. It says, this is talking about divorce. Now obviously if you're divorcing someone, logically what are you, bro? If you're divorcing someone, what are you? You're married. You're married. It's a free space. I agree, marriage is about consent. Right. So, you're married. Okay, fair enough. So, such of your women, this is about how long you wait before you remarry someone who's divorced. That's important. Listen. Okay? Such of your women as have passed the age of monthly courses. For them, the prescribed period, if you have any doubts about what? The Tasfiyah and the Hadith are clear. It's doubts about whether they're pregnant. If you have any doubts, it's 3 months. For those who have no courses, for those who carry life within their wombs, their period is until they deliver their burdens. For those who have no courses is referring to those who have not yet reached the age of menstruation. That is children. Children. Sorry?
They could not get periods anymore.
Yes.
Those who don't have their courses like on menopause doesn't mean that it's a child.
But it also means children as well.
How do you know that? Right.
Because here's why we know. Here's why we know.
The builder, respect, bro.
Here's why we know. Yeah. Because Muhammad himself, your best example, married a 6-year-old and had sex when they were 9. You don't believe me? I'll show you. In the hadiths, Sahih al-Bukhari 762, narrated by Aisha, that the Prophet married her when she was 6 years old and he consummated his marriage when she was 9 years old. Hisham said, I have been informed that Aisha remained with the Prophet for 9 years till his death. So in that hadith, Aisha is giving her age at what point Muhammad consummated the marriage with her. Other translations of this verse by other scholars, other Muslim scholars, don't translate it in this way. The way they translate it is those who have not yet reached the age of menstruation. This one doesn't. This one doesn't. but other translators do, and we have the example of the hadiths as well.
Are you fluent in Arabic?
Are you?
No, I'm asking you. Are you
No, I'm not. Are you?
So how could you know the translation?
Right, are you fluent in Arabic?
My sister is.
Are you?
Are you? I asked you that question first.
Yes, and I've answered that.
So then
And
how
now
are
I'm
you relying
asking
on
you, are you
something that
fluent in
could
Arabic?
possibly not
Are you
translate
fluent in
properly?
Arabic? Right, so your argument is, because I'm not fluent in Arabic, I can't make this argument.
No, that's what I said. How do you know the translation of Arabic?
How do we know? Well, Yusuf Abdullah Ya'ali was a linguist. Yusuf Ali, he was a linguist. So he was someone who was fluent in Arabic, and he translated it into English. So I'm using a Muslim linguist who translated the Arabic Quran. So I think that's valid.
Okay, but that one doesn't say child. Don't get the one translated by a Muslim linguist that says child.
It doesn't say, I never argued that it says
You
child.
just said some of the other translations say child.
No, it says, other translations say those that have not yet reached the age of menstruation.
So you get that.
So tell me, if someone has not reached the age of menstruation, what are they?
Well, some women don't have it at all, so what's the point?
No. If someone hasn't reached the age of menstruation,
Okay,
what are
but
they?
some women don't have it at all.
could not get menstruation.
Is it?
Yeah, it is.
Is it? Is that based on what? Sorry, what is that
Based
based
on this, what
on?
you've
Where
read.
does it say that?
What did you ask? What was your question?
For those who have no courses,
Yes.
it is the same.
Okay.
Yeah. For those who
And
have
like
no
I said-
courses, does that
like I
include
said-
children?
Well, like I said, some women don't have periods at all.
But
some
do
women
children have
one
courses?
at 18 or above.
Do children have courses?
I'm sure some do. Well, Aisha clearly did at 9. So
At
what's your
9.
point? Yeah.
Well, my point is that this is not a moral example that we need to
Well, up
follow.
until 1929 in the UK, a
Yeah.
female could get married at the age of 12.
So your argument
So-
to defend Muhammad is to reference a kuffar society.
No, I'm using it against you. You live in this country.
I'm-
don't you?
I'm happy to
You live
disagree
in this
with what
country.
people did in the
You live
past.
in this country.
Yeah, I do.
Is this a Christian country?
No.
Well, it is. Well,
According to you, maybe, but not to me.
well, to a lot of people it is. The church.
They would be wrong.
The church is part of Parliament. Isn't it?
It is. There is an established church. Yeah.
Exactly. And up until 1929, a female could get married at the age of 12.
Yes.
So now you're complaining about Muhammad 1,000 years before that,
Yeah.
marrying a 9-year-old.
Yeah, yes, absolutely I am. And here's why. I'm going to explain. Here's why. Because what we know about childhood development today, yeah, shows us that 9-year-olds are not mentally and physically able to bear children.
You're talking about study here?
And the burden.
You're talking about
Yes, there are studies.
Okay, and when was the
Yeah.
study made?
Right? Hold on one second. Right? This learning is accepted universally. Right around the world, societies are not decreasing the age of consent, they are increasing the age of consent. That is the direction of every civilization, everywhere.
So you admit...
But hold on one second. You asked me the question, why I've got a problem. Why have I got a problem? Not, if it was just the case that Muhammad did this in the past and Muhammad was not an example for today, I wouldn't have a problem with it. Because there were kings in England that have also married children. But I don't see them as a moral example. As a Muslim, do you see Muhammad as a moral example?
Yes, I do.
Do you see him as the best moral example? Do you see him as the best man?
Yes, I do.
So when he married a 9-year-old child, is that an example to you?
No, because there were rules along with it. The parents needed to consent,
No.
and she needed to consent
No.
as well. So if
When did
someone
she
asked
consent?
When they approached her for marriage.
And how old was she?
According to some sources, 7 or 8.
7 or 8. So you're trying to say that a 7 or 8-year-old had the intellect. No, bro, it's just rubbish. Children.
No, you didn't answer my previous question. In 1,400 years ago, was it customary for young girls to get married? Yes or no?
1,400 years ago, it was customary to sacrifice people on altars to false gods. We don't do it today.
Okay.
1,400 years ago, it was customary to marry children. We know better today.
Okay, the Christians here 1,400 years ago.
Christians, that's a good question actually. So even before the rise of Islam, in a time when Christians were still marrying children, we raised the age of consent from the age of 12 to the age of 14.
Yes, in 1929.
Which means, no, in the 5th century. In the 5th century. No, I'm talking about Christians in the 5th
So
century.
Christians went back in this country.
2 centuries before Muhammad came along, even Christians understood that a 12-year-old was too young. But your prophet, who you have said is a moral example to you today, engaged a child at 6 and had sex with her at 9. Is that an example to you?
I've already explained there are rules along with it. So the parents need to consent to it. She needs to be ready and she needs to consent with herself.
How is a 6?
And would you consent to that? Would you consent to that?
If I had a daughter.
Yeah. Would you? Why not?
Because in this day and age, a girl of that age.
But even if you
biologically, what has changed?
Even if you was back in that time.
1,400 years ago, I don't know.
Biologically, what's changed? His argument is that something changed 1,400 years ago. Genetically, what has changed? Human beings are the same. A child at 6, 1,400 years ago is genetically the same as a child today.
So are you saying this is a paedophile country?
I am saying Britain. Yeah, I'm going to answer the question, but then I want you to answer my question. Okay, answer your question. Is Britain a paedophile country? It was in the past. But we don't look at those past generations and say that they are moral examples today. Now let me ask you a question, okay? Aisha agreed to the marriage at 6 years old.
According to some sources.
According to some Islamic sources. Are you honestly stood here right now and telling me that a 6-year-old has the mental capacity to understand what she's agreeing to?
I wasn't present, so I don't know. The lifespan of people used to be about 30, 40
Six.
years.
6. Do you want me to read the hadith again?
I'm having the conversation again. Like,
was back then 1,400 years ago?
Well, it's averaged out at 30, but do you know why?
Exactly.
Do you know why?
Well, war.
It's not for any genetic reasons. The reason why the average lifespan was shorter in those days was because we were fighting and killing and diets were terrible.
Okay, so now let me respond to that. So
genetic.
So someone who was 10, 1,400 years ago, today is the equivalent of a 20 or 30 year old.
That just doesn't follow logically.
Yes, it does.
No, it
Yes,
doesn't.
it does.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
No,
Yes,
it does not.
Yes, it does.
No, it does not.
So if we use the example of
You're
today
saying,
back then,
you're saying
people
that,
would only be married
you're
for
saying that
average
because
10 years.
people died earlier because of wars and poor diets,
people
that
got
means
married
that
earlier because of
mentally
that.
they were more developed. That does not follow at all. That is
No,
not a
that's
logical
what I said. I
argument.
didn't say that. I
That is
said-
exactly what you said.
That's not what I said. I never said that.
So, we've agreed.
And it was never a man marrying someone of his own age.
Yeah.
He's always younger.
Okay.
I've got a question for you. You've agreed that Muhammad is not an example for you today on the issue of marrying children.
I haven't said that because she wasn't a child back then.
She wasn't a child.
She wasn't viewed as a child back then.
She wasn't viewed. I agree, she wasn't viewed as a child. But the fact that she wasn't viewed as a child does not mean that she is suddenly an adult.
Well, 1,400 years ago, there were no legal age requirements.
There are still people today. Yeah, go on.
Because females used to mature at different.
No, that's bullshit.
No, I'm saying every woman is different. Every woman is different. Some women have menstruation.
Yeah, but just because you have a menstrual cycle at the age of 8 doesn't mean that you are able to have sexual relations.
1,400 years
And
ago.
mentally bear the responsibility of raising children.
1,400 years ago, people would take that as an indication that a girl had turned.
Can I ask you a question? Did Muhammad bear any children? Did Aisha bear any children to Muhammad? Do you know what? Did she get pregnant? I believe that she did. Yeah. Like, do you know that there is a hadith that says that that Aisha lost her hair? Like there is a hadith that talks about when she was still playing with toys. She was. I might do, but it takes me time to find.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I'm gonna have to see a source, but I've never heard that.
Yeah. Well, you need to go away and do some research because.
Well, no, because I've never heard anyone, even Christians, mention that argument before. So you're gonna have to provide a source for me to answer.
I will see if I can find that source. I will see if I can find that source. However, do a thought experiment with me. There's a hadith that talks about the fact that Muhammad came to the house of Aisha when she was playing with dolls, and her mother brought her into the house and she knew she was getting married. Okay? And she then lost her hair, and Muhammad waited.
I can't respond until I see the source.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm asking you to do a thought experiment.
I can't do that.
You can't do a thought experiment?
Until I see the source.
Fair enough. Well, we'll just stick with the hadiths that we have got then. We'll just stick with the hadiths that we have got. We have got hadiths that say that she was engaged at 6 and consummated the marriage at 9. Okay? You're trying to tell me that a 6-year-old child had the mental capacity to understand what marriage was. An abstract social contract.
Okay, there's evidence to support that.
That means that you agree with it personally.
Thank you. Thank you. And that's what this example does to you. You're defending child marriage.
I haven't.
You
I said she wasn't a child.
At 6.
At 9.
At 6.
At 9.
That's when they had sex.
No, at 9.
When was she engaged?
You said. What was your question? She didn't have the mental capacity.
No, I'm saying
she didn't have the mental capacity.
I am saying that you're arguing that a 6-year-old had the mental capacity to understand a social contract like marriage. She didn't.
Okay, let me
show me any 6-year-old.
Let me tell you a bit about her.
Not for Muhammad.
Let me tell you
Every culture at that time, they can
after
marry
the
9.
Prophet died,
You ignore
most
this.
of the religion came from Aisha herself.
Because you
She's
hate
narrated
Muhammad.
about 7
That's
or
the
8,000 hadiths.
Yes.
So without Aisha in the picture, Islam wouldn't be here
When
today.
did she narrate those hadiths?
After the Prophet died.
What age?
No, but I'm saying she recollected the experiences she had.
So
before he
your
died.
argument is this, that because when she was an adult she could tell
18,
stories.
18.
So when she was an adult at 18 she could tell stories.
No, not stories.
Yeah, but let me finish. She could tell stories that go back to her childhood. That means that when she was actually 6, she had the intellect. She had the intellect to understand a social contract like marriage. That's your argument.
I'm saying they were religious instructions. I never said stories. I said religious instructions. Wait, what's your point? You're saying she was mentally incapable.
Yes.
And she was damaged from the marriage. Is that what you're
I am saying that a 6-year-old is mentally incapable.
A 9-year-old.
No.
When's the marriage consummated?
Right.
When's the
Narrated by
marriage
Aisha
consummated?
that the Prophet married her when she was 6 years old. When she was 6. When she was 9, because it goes on to say.
That's what we're talking about. What does consummation
and he
mean?
consummated. Yeah, it means they had sex.
Okay, so that's when they lived together. Did they live together before that? No, they didn't.
No, they didn't.
Exactly.
No.
So we're going to go from 9 or 10.
Right. So the point is, when she was married was when she was 6. That's the hadith, Sahih al-Bukhari, 7, 62 to 65.
A marriage isn't formalized until there's a consummation, so it's essentially an engagement.
That's fine. Okay, an engagement still needs 2 autonomous parties to agree, yes?
Yes.
So you are actually stood here saying that a 6-year-old understood a social abstract construct like marriage.
It wasn't back then. It wasn't back then. She was well aware of it.
She understood it.
She understood it.
She understood what she was signing up for.
I'm trying to ask him a question in 5 minutes.
At 6,
You're not answering me.
Wait.
a 6-year-old had the ability to turn around to her 2 parents, a prophet that is revered by her surrounding community, and go, do you know what, actually I don't want to marry you. No, a 6-year-old, when they are pressured by their parents and by their surrounding culture, because the hadiths do.
I'll
read it again.
What are you talking about marriage? Are you talking about marriage? So it was 9 or 10?
We're talking about the fact that a 6-year-old could not possibly have had the mental capacity to understand something like marriage. And your entire argument to defend Muhammad having sex with a 9-year-old was that she was a fully competent, mental, competent woman. That's your argument.
That time it was the culture. The culture everywhere.
What did I say? We were talking about lifespan.
The culture
so people
everywhere,
died
marriage
roughly
was
30
9
to
or
40.
10 or 11.
That doesn't mean that a 6-year-old stops being 6.
Okay, so are you saying a 6-year-old 1,400 years ago is the same as a 6-year-old today?
Yes.
What evidence do you have to support that?
The evidence of genetics.
Okay, and when was that evidence produced?
That evidence.
The last 50 years or so?
Yes.
Okay. So
by
how
rigorous
can
scientific testing.
Okay, of people of today, not 1,400 years ago. In order to have a proper analysis, let me finish. In order to have a proper analysis, you need evidence and data from 1,400 years ago to compare it to today. So you cannot say evidence from 50 years ago tells us what people were like 1,400. Of course not.
6-year-olds don't have that ability,
Why
friend.
do you keep on saying 6? We're saying 9.
I'll show you, because it says in the hadith. I'll read it again.
Yes, and what
Sahih
I tell you, a
al-Bukhari,
marriage isn't confirmed until there's a consummation.
which was at 9. But the point is, you're arguing that this is
what did I
engagement.
say to you?
It would be engaged.
Okay, 1,300 years after that, in this country, girls are getting married at 12 years old. So are you saying a 12-year-old has the capacity to agree, but a 10-year-old doesn't?
No, what I'm saying is that our understanding of child development today indicates that all of the past where we have been marrying children were wrong to do so. And here's why, brother, here's why Christianity is better than Islam.
No, it's not.
I'm going to give you an example why, using this example. Because in the Christian faith, we have a general ethic. It's about love. It's about doing what is best for the other person. Now, what is that general principle is...
That's not in Islam, is it?
Let me finish. That general principle is a general principle, which means that our practice of it, our performance of that, can be informed by current learning, by new knowledge.
Okay, and did Muhammad say that the best of men are the ones that are best to their wives? Did he say that?
Muhammad, you have just said, is the best example, and he married a 6-year-old and had sex with her when she was 9.
You were talking about being good to people.
Yes.
Did Muhammad say that the best... Did Muhammad say at the... And then, are you going to respond or not? Did Muhammad say the best of men are the ones who are good to their wives? Yes or no?
I'm happy to say he did.
Okay.
Yes.
So, using that reasoning, he wouldn't have taken advantage of a small girl, which proves to me that she was a woman at the time.
No. So your argument is that because Muhammad said that the best of people are those that are best to their wives, means that Aisha was not a child. I would like you to convince me that a 6-year-old is not a child.
No, I'm saying 9 or 10. If you accept that, it's up to you.
I'll read that.
I'm saying 9 or 10, and I'm saying at that age, he must have
So you're saying that 9-year-old are adults?
1,400 years ago.
Yes, she consummated at her period. Yes, but the engagement happened when she was 6. Do you think a 6-year-old understands marriage?
Done on behalf of her parents. That's how it happened in those days.
I agree.
In those days here,
let me be clear about what my point is, because everyone misses it. My problem isn't the fact that this happened. My problem is the fact that this man is your moral example. That's my problem.
What's the legal age in the Bible?
6 or 9. It was after her period.
No, it says it here. Look, narrated by Aisha. I'm quoting Sahih al-Bukhari 762-64. Narrated by Aisha that the Prophet married her when she was 6 years old.
This is incorrect. That's it. This is incorrect.
Why isn't it correct?
It's not correct.
Why is it not correct?
It's incorrect translation.
Why? Do you know? Have you seen the original?
What did I tell you?
You've seen the original.
I've read the Quran. This is an incorrect translation.
This is a hadith. It's not a Quran.
All right, there you go. There you go. That's your whole.
But you just said you'd read the original and it was incorrect.
That's the original word of Islam. That is it. There is anything else is an interpretation. Anything else.
So you're a Quran only Muslim.
Quran is the way. Quran is what we
So you don't use hadith?
given by God to us.
Are you a Quran only Muslim? Do you use hadiths? Right, so hadiths are valid then, sources of knowledge, yeah?
Well, hadiths are valid only to the extent that they can be verified
Agreed.
by scholars.
And Sahih
and also if they don't contradict what's inside the book.
Brilliant. So the Sahih, is that reliable or unreliable?
It's deemed reliable by
deemed reliable. So I'm quoting a reliable hadith. So unless you're a Quran-only Muslim, the argument
and what did I
stands.
tell you? I said a marriage is only formalized when there's consummation.
Yes, at 9.
You agree?
Yes.
Okay, 9 or 10.
Yes.
Okay,
but
so
the
why do you want
agreement,
saying 6?
the agreement was made when she was 6.
Which means she had 3 years to say, I don't want to get married.
A child at 6 years old does not understand what marriage is, and a child at 6 years old does not have the emotional strength or the mental capability to turn around to her family and her entire community and say, no, I do not want to marry this man.
Okay, now we go back to what I mentioned before. Did the Prophet say that the best of men are the ones who are good to their wives?
Yes.
Okay, so using that reasoning, I'm going to take from her that the Prophet wouldn't have taken advantage of her.
That is a reasoning, but it is in terms of this debate, it is not a defence, because all you're saying is Muhammad said, "Be good to your wives." The definition of a wife, based upon Muhammad's example, can include 9-year-olds
who have had difficulties, and back then we deemed the women. And I've told you why that was
marriage
the case.
contracts
Because
can
the
be made
average
at 6.
average lifespan was 30 years old. So
we can do better than this religion. We've got to follow Jesus. can do better than this religion.
Okay, so the average lifespan is roughly 30 years old. So that's why women have to get married earlier, so they could raise children.
Rubbish.
Why? Why is that rubbish?
Utter rubbish.
Why is it rubbish?
Utter rubbish. I accept that that's what people did.
Yes.
But trying to say that that is something that legitimizes as an example for today, that's my problem.
But what was your point? You said this time is bad because you did it back then.
No, let me state it again. The issue is not that people married kids back in the past. We've already established Christians did the same. The problem is when you try to say that this is the best example to mankind, because a best example to mankind should not be doing something that I morally find abhorrent.
Okay, is there any guidance in the Bible of what age a woman should be to get married?
There's no specific age given.
Okay, so if I was a Christian, I could get a 1-year-old and marry her.
My religion, doesn't work like yours, bro.
Why?
It doesn't work like yours.
So how does it work? There's no requirement whatsoever.
No, no.
So under Christianity, a 1-year-old could get married.
Doesn't work like that.
Why? Is there any restriction in the Bible?
So can I answer this question? So in terms of my faith is not a religion of laws like Islam.
So people can do whatever they like?
No. Again, you're rushing from one characterization to another without actually listening to any answers. It's all right. The Dawah team do it here all the time.
No, because
Here you go again. Your
premise.
You haven't even heard my premise.
Yeah, your premise is Islam is inferior to Christianity.
Yes, it is.
Now I say to you, how can Christianity be better than Islam when Christianity has no restrictions whatsoever?
So I'm going to give an answer to that
does.
question. But before I give an answer to that question, and it'll only take me a minute or two, try to restrain yourself. Yeah? Try to put down your ego, and listen to what I'm saying. Yeah? Okay? Because in the Christian faith, you're right, we don't have an age given in the Bible. The Bible doesn't work like that, the Christian faith doesn't work like that. What we have is an understanding, a narrative that talks about the dignity of people, that we should love people, and that we should do the best by them. That's the general premise. Now, what it means to love people and do the best by them is current to what information you have at the time. Which means that as information increases and you have better knowledge than someone previous, you can do things better. So, my faith has the capacity to evolve its practice based upon the best learning.
Okay, so you say
Islam, by contrast, does not, because you have a system of laws where Muhammad is the best example, which means that rather than just doing the sensible thing and standing here and saying, no, it's wrong to marry 6-year-olds and we shouldn't have sex with 9-year-olds, you've stood here for 40 minutes and tried to defend it.
Okay, now let me respond. What I've gathered from what you said is, under Christianity, if you can love a baby, you can marry them.
Then you didn't listen to what I said.
Don't put this on me. How many hadiths do you know?
Only the ones I've read.
Only the ones I've read?
Yeah.
I cannot give a fatwa unless I know over 100,000 hadiths.
Brilliant.
And one hadith may have 4 chains of narration.
Fantastic.
Passed down.
Yes.
In chains.
Yes.
I have to know the name.
Yes.
I have to know the character.
Brilliant.
Once I can quote you one hadith, then I'll go quote you 100,000 hadiths.
Yes.
Before I can give a fatwa.
Amazing.
And before I can give you a fatwa.
I'm so impressed.
Right?
Yeah.
That's why you got the 4 schools that come down from generation. They used to know over 700,000 hadith.
Great stuff.
Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal said, to students, you have to know over 700,000 hadith before you can give a fatwa.
Can I ask one question?
No, hold on.
This is all wonderful information, but I'm not sure what you're getting to.
You're getting into, you quote in a hadith, a 6-year-old engagement, you quote in a hadith that she got married at 9.
Yes.
Right. How many fatwas are there regarding this subject?
No idea.
No idea. 7 different fatwas.
And what did they say?
Right? She got married at 12
Yeah.
and she went to the Prophet's house to contact at the age of 14. right? The other one, she got married at 14 and she went at 16. And the other one says she's got married at 16.
So basically
right?
your hadiths contradict to you one another and you can't agree.
Right.
And yet you're saying this is the perfected religion.
No, hold on.
They contradict. You just said it. The fatwas contradict and they're using the same
But we've already
sources.
established that inside the Quran it gives...
No.
I've got to go, but I want to give you the last point.
Let
So
me finish the
I'll let you
answer.
make your
Let
point.
me finish the answer.
Let me just... No, I have to go and I need to...
You said the hadith contradicts each
go on, I
other.
want to...
No, it doesn't.
I want to...
It
Yeah, they
doesn't.
do.
No, it doesn't.
According to your fatwas.
No,
they do.
it doesn't.
Oh, look. Is that him? Sorry, I can't see with the light. I think he's got his scarf on. He's got his scarf on. Right, go on. I want you to have the last word because I said, and then you speak, but then I've got to go. So go
Okay,
on.
based on your premise that Islam is inferior to Christianity, my response to that is Christianity is obviously inferior because there's no guidelines whatsoever on what age you can marry someone. If I was a Christian, I could marry a 1-year-old. In Islam, it has a clear guideline of the female having reached menstruation. So how can you tell me that Christianity is superior to Islam? I don't understand it.
In one word answer, because the Christian faith can evolve, and through that evolution and the use of the best and current knowledge of the time, our practice can change.
In Christianity,
In
it says
Islam,
can
you
marry.
can't do that.
I know,
But I
saying
don't
2,000 years ago, that would have been okay.
I just want to say it was a pleasure talking to you.
You have to know. Listen, don't
Yeah.
run. Don't run.
Sorry, I do have
No,
to.
no, don't
I'm
run.
not running. I've
How
just gotta
many
go.
girls
I've
at the
just
age
gotta
of
go.
9 get
Take
pregnant
care.
in this country?
Do you
How many
believe,
girls
do you
get
believe the
pregnant?
Shia or
Hold
the
on,
Sunni
hold
hadith?
on, hold
Shia
on.
or Sunni hadith?
No, I said no camera.
Yeah?
I said don't put it on.
You have no need
You see, all of this conversation with you,
no need to do that. You're right, JC.
That's why it stinks. That's why it stinks.
Anyway, guys, I've got to go, so I'm afraid I'm going to make a point and then I'm just going to have to leave. In terms of the Christian faith, we have the ability to evolve our practice based upon the best current knowledge, which means that what we understand to love our neighbour as ourselves changes depending upon the circumstances. But the aim is always to uplift the dignity of man that is made in the image of God through the practice of love. By contrast, Islam is a system of laws that upholds a man, Muhammad, as the best example for today. Which means when he engaged, who would not have had the mental capacity to say no or to understand what marriage is, and then consummated that marriage at 6, that leaves Muslims in the difficult position of having to defend sex with children. Sex that we now understand would be harmful to them. And what is shameful is that we even found Muslim doctors, people with medical certificates, trying to justify this here today. It's simple, guys. If your conscience tells you that your prophet is not an example for you today, then he isn't an example for you at all. If you can't behave as Muhammad behaved now, then you don't need to behave how he behaved in any sense. Because if he's not a good example for you in everything, he's not the good example you need to follow, and you need to find a better one, and that example is Jesus Christ our Lord. God bless.